morning. My name is Brian Spears. I'm partners with Jeff Filipovitz, who opened this press conference. Manuel Paez Teran's body was released to his family last Tuesday by the DeKalb County Medical Examiner's Office. The private autopsy was conducted on Tuesday afternoon. As a result of the private autopsy, we learned the shocking news that it appears that Manuel was shot over 12 times and was shot by several different firearms. Multiple officers riddled his body with bullets. Long before learning this shocking news, our law firm sent requests for information about Manuel's death to all of the agencies involved in the police action of January 18th. And on January 30th, we hand-delivered a letter to the director of the Georgia Bureau of Investigation asking them to meet with Manuel's parents to explain what had happened to their son. We have not received any response whatsoever from the Georgia Bureau of Investigation. Our goal is to get answers for Manuel's mother and father and family. What happened to their son and why? The GBI is heading up this investigation. The parents are here today asking again for that meeting with the GBI. And we want a release of all audio and video recordings, including any drone footage of the shooting in the area in which he died. And we want that investigative report. Manuel is dead. You cannot charge a dead man with a crime. There is no reason to withhold this information, and there is no reason to not meet with the family. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Gerry Weber, and I'm Senior Counsel for the Southern Center for Human Rights. We are here in support of Mr. Teran's family, their desire, their need, and their right for answers. Atlanta seeks to build the third largest police training center in the nation, a militarized center that will be used likely by every single officer that is currently policing these protests. Since every single officer policing these protests has a vested interest in these protests failing, the need for impartiality and transparency in this policing is paramount. We have seen neither. The highest levels of law enforcement, including the APD Assistant Chief, are trumpeting pretextual stops of citizens filming in the area, and officers are demanding those filming in the area to delete footage. Law enforcement is claiming that anyone who came from out of state to the protest is more likely to be a domestic terrorist. That sure sounds a lot like something you might have heard in 1965 on Bloody Sunday on the Edmund Pettus Bridge. Somehow, with officers wearing body cameras now more than ever, we have seen zero video of the shooting death of Mr. Teran. We are seeing zero on transparency and clear bias in policing that should trouble anyone. Mr. Teran's family deserves the facts. They deserve the answers. And the citizens of Atlanta and DeKalb County also deserve them too. Thank you.
My name is Kamau Franklin, K-A-M-A-U, Franklin, F-R-A-N-K-L-I-N. We're here today. I represent the organization Community Movement Builders to stand with the family about this tragedy. So I really offer my heartfelt condolences to you and yours. Manuel Tortuguita was killed, shot over 12 times. Shot so many times, we can't even say exactly how many times he was shot. It was death by firing squad. It was a murder. We feel that Andre Dickens has blood on his hands. Right. Governor Kemp has blood on his hands. Right. The Atlanta Police Department has blood on their hands. That's right. The troopers who shot there had blood on their hands. We find it incredibly, not even difficult to believe, impossible to believe, that the Atlanta Police Department the Decatur Police Department, the Georgia Bureau of Investigation, state troopers, SWAT teams, some even say FBI were in there, that no one had a body cam on. No one had any imagery whatsoever of the killing of this young person. That means it was a setup. The Atlanta Police Department is required to have their body cams on. But yet they forgot doing a killing spree or doing a shooting of 13, 14 bullets. It is impossible to believe the narrative of the police, not just in this case, but in case after case across the country. What brought people out into the forest, into the streets, to demonstrate against Cop City has been the police murders. That's right. Over and over and over again across this country of black and brown people in particular. Right. What brought people out into the streets has been the lies told by the police in their reports about how these killings took place, only to find out later that they were lying. Only to find out later that there was videotape, there was body cameras, there were people filming on their phones that shows that they were lying. These demonstrations since the very beginning were criminalized by the Atlanta Police Department and by the mayor's office. Since the very beginning there were arrests made by people walking and doing what you would call peaceful protests in the street, demonstrating on sidewalks. Those protests broken up, over 17, 18 people arrested. No one reports it as violence by the police.
That's right.
Protesters thrown on the ground, pepper sprayed, harassed. It was the logical conclusion that they would wind up killing somebody because the tactics that they employed since the very beginning have been violent against protesters. We know that Cop City is just a place where they're going to train not only Georgia police officers, but officers around the country. 43% are going to be trained, or the training happening is going to be of officers from outside of Georgia. They don't call those folks outside agitators. Those folks are coming here to learn training that is militarized by its very nature, that is meant to not only over-police black and brown communities in the United States, but it's also meant to shut down protests and movements against police violence. That is the very nature of what this is. They want to shut down movements in this country against police violence. So when we talk about Cop City, we're not talking about some benign training center where the cops are going to learn training. The cop that killed Rayshard Brooks had over 2,000 hours. 2,000 hours of training on cultural sensitivity, on de-escalation, but yet he shot him in the back. My assumption is these cops in the woods had thousands of hours of training, but yet over a dozen bullets took this young person's life. So we know that this Cop City idea is nothing but a way to militarize police here in Atlanta and across the country. And every time they bring up the idea of Cop City, there's going to be protesters, there's going to be organizing, there's going to be agitators, there's going to be forest defenders, because we will do what we can to protect our communities to stop Cop City from happening. Thank you very much.
Thank you all. If you all have any questions, the family will not be answering questions today, but if there are any questions for any of the attorneys, we're happy to field those.